So, without further ado, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce This is another in a series of live broadcasts enjoying the creative sounds of music and harmony. Hope you enjoy. Don't touch that dial. Keep it locked. Tuned in and turned on.
Welcome to the Talk Dirty to Me podcast with the Maestro. Not just numbers, not just stats. It's about what they mean. And now, your host, the Maestro.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Talk Dirty to Me podcast. Will your boy? Me, the Maestro. Hopefully everybody's good. Let's just get right into it. Thank you for your feedback from the last episode as we were looking at the recruits from the run in Boston, as it were, right? I want to focus on two players from this past Saturday. The one that I really want to look at first, he's currently ranked 62 in the recruits list. Just going to move up, in my opinion, because he's definitely got a lot of dirty in him, got a lot of dog in him. I like the cats who don't fall into the whole textbook measurables. He's 6'5", 223 pounds, 16 years old, out of Rhode Island, Recruits Heywood. I really liked his game and the upside to where his game can take him. Recruits, great hands instinct, as I talked about before. Also, more importantly, though, his ability to recognize when he needs to help and how he needs to help. And once he develops the footwork to go with that, as well as the natural understanding of what his opponents are doing on the floor, maybe to get around him, maybe to get around someone else. Once we start seeing that, it's just going to be really, really, really nice to see his skill set kick in, the natural skill set on top of building up that IQ. One of the things I like best about his game, outside of his hands, we talked about that, was his ability to recognize help side defense. Whenever he had a man on the post, he was always aware of what was happening behind him. I saw very few successful back cuts when he was doing any low post defense on either side, left or right. What I would like to see more from him is to be a little bit quicker, trust his hands a little bit more. A lot of the balls that he deflected in the game could have been outright steals. I know he stopped a lot of alley-oops. And again, now we're gonna live on both sides of this for a second. So you have cats working together, not necessarily for the first time or not necessarily for an established period of time. So they're trying to get their game together too. Little lack of communication, maybe a half a step late with a pass is forever. That's an eternity in any league. And somebody like Recruits able to recognize that pass goes up late, he can use his athleticism in order to go up and block that ball. Really, really nice to see. What else was really nice is to see him complete the disruption, right? Not just deflecting the pass, not just blocking the alley-oop, not just holding his man out, but also going for the ball after that. Watched him bring the ball up the court a little bit. We all need to develop a handle no matter how far you go as his handle gets better, because he is that sort of in-between player. Being at 6'5", Recruits is not the true 6'7", 6'8" that you would want to go in and be able to throw elbows in the paint. He's not truly in the sense of the off guard. And I know it's positionless basketball. And please, you don't have to give me the speech. I just use that out of context so you can know what I'm talking about here. In other words, someone who's playing with their front to the basket from around the perimeter off the wing. At 6'5", he's probably physically built to be more that kind of player, but his willingness to step inside the post, his willingness to get dirty is what I really like to see. That game is just going to grow as he gets better. And I definitely see him moving up from 62 much higher into the rankings here in SimWorld Hoops. The other player I want to talk about is SimWorld Stubblfield and his passing. At 6'3", he's going to be the closest thing to a true guard. Guard play is big. The league is built on guard play more and more now, particularly as we move or as we see the league move to more positionless basketball. That is not a surprise, right? But with SimWorld Stubblfield at 6'3", 169 pounds, 17 years old, getting ready to make that transition to watch his game go forward. His passing is just going to get stronger as he works with and is around more teammates who understand his ability to get them the ball. And what happens with a cat like that, able to and willing to get the ball to their teammates, to put their teammates in a position that they are going to have an opportunity to score, is absolutely huge, because the identity of your team becomes one of motion. If I know that there's a guard here, that if I flash right, if I give him a window, and when I'm going to talk about window means in a second, but if I give him a window that he can get me the ball, if I have someone who passes the ball like Javion, I'm going to be more apt to make that move. I'm going to be more apt to make that cut. I'm going to be more apt to flash out on the weak side because he can get me the ball. His passing skills are at that level, if you ask my opinion. Now, other people feel that way too. He's currently ranked 14th in ACA hoops in the recruits. And in terms of passing, I've not seen anyone else yet that makes me go, wow, they're going to be a better passer where Stubblfield is. That doesn't mean that they're not out there. I'm going to give my eyes on a lot of people. Can't wait to see what's going on with that and kind of grow with that myself. Stubblfield definitely has that sort of passing game. His shot game, I like. I would like to see him develop more consistent range if I were to pick him for my team. His passing ability has already won me over, so how can I make him more of a weapon? We'll watch him develop consistent range with his shot, and we'll talk about how to do that too at some point here and on the Talk Dirty to Me podcast. The key for Stubblfield is going to be consistency and toughness. With his size where he is, do you want to see him get a little stronger in the game? Probably so. He definitely looks like he has the attitude to do it. I like anybody who's willing to step in front of the ball, ready to put their hands on the floor, willing to get on the floor. You know I'm all about that dirty life, right? Stubblfield definitely shows me, at least in some times I've seen him, he has shown me that he has that willingness to do what it takes to move his team forward. And once he is with a consistent team in a consistent system, I definitely see Javion being able to, I think I said this before, that he might be a double-digit assist guy on average would not surprise me. Points are bonus from a player like that. I guess they're not really bonus for anybody today. I definitely see him at the very least being a double-digit assist guy once he's able to move his teammates into a position and they get used to him that they'll be able to score. Going to be really nice to see him as he moves forward. So Recruits Heywood from Rhode Island, Javion Stubblfield from Boston. Watch these guys as they move forward. We're definitely going to be following them as our season moves on, as we get ready to move into what will soon be coming the next season of SimWorld Hoops. Stay tuned for the next half of Talk Dirty to Me, where we're going to talk about that screen door thing.
Thank you for listening to the Talk Dirty to Me podcast with the Maestro.
Want to get involved? Bring it. Drop in discord.gg/SimWorld NBA.
If you have the brain,
Join as a coach.
If you have the game, join as a player. See the game, be the game. But now, back to Talk Dirty to Me with
The Maestro.
Once again, for the Soul Children String section, y'all.
Let's get back to some wonderful sound.
And welcome back to the Talk Dirty to Me podcast. This is going to talk about that screen door thing. Let's go and get this out the way. When we watch or when we see in a lot of the game today with off-ball movement, on-ball movement, we see screens get set. And sometimes they're not always set correctly. That's a whole separate topic, a whole separate issue. We'll get to that later. But what I want to get to now is, how do you use that screen, whether it's set correctly or not? You know the word I like to use. Say it with me. You're going to say it with me. 1, 2, 3, leverage. Here's where leverage plays into the use or non-use of a screen. Sometimes not using a screen is as effective as using the screen. So I guess if we want to take it to the next level of tautology, you want to get scientific about it, the screen is there. You're still using it whether you decide to use it or not. I know that was deep. Don't worry. I just put a quarter in the jar. We're never going to do the PhD thing again. So here we go. I'm bringing the ball up. My man comes out and set a screen. Let's say, for instance, it's going to be a good screen. He's setting a screen for me to go to my left. When he comes up to set the screen, generally you see screens set more effectively in man-to-man. Yes, I know there are those strategies and those schemes where you set a screen in zone. I won't say I'm not a fan of it. It has its place, but it tends to become more of a waste of immediate space that you have to reset up for something else than it is effective in the moment. So my man comes up. He's bringing his defender with him. That means now I have 2 defenders on me. There's 3 defenders out with my other guys on the floor. Hopefully, if we have space recognition, they've moved far afield. In other words, they moved themselves farther away from the lane in order to give me room to make a decision. Now, if they're playing basic ball principle, with the 2 men on me, that means there will be 2 guys to one side and a 1 jersey to the other side. This is a good thing. If the screen is giving me to the side where there's only 1 other defender with my other man, I'll go that way, but I'll go that way hard. I'll flash as I'm going to the wing and cut to the post because I might end up having a straight shot to get to the rim. If my screen is set to that same side, I'm going to keep saying to my left, just so you can visualize in your head. And when I look to the back side of my man setting the screen, I see 2 defenders, which means there's 1 defender on the other side. Now I have to make a couple of different choices. I can either flash through my man, in other words, not use the screen directly. I can flash through my man, crossover through my man, to try to get to his hip side. We talked about leverage last week. You guys know what I'm talking about. To get that other defender to come to me as he sees me break the defensive pattern. Hopefully, the guy he's defending, my teammate, recognizes that, flashes to the basket, bounce pass, alley-oop pass, easy 2. Or one of my teammates, what went from being the strong side to the weak side, back cuts to the basket. I still have another option. If both players go, I make the call with the hand of my pass. In other words, if I'm going in and I see my man cutting from my right, I will lead him actually with my right hand almost across my body just because he's going to see that more clearly, recognize that pass is from him. If it is the player coming from my left side or now the weak side, I might actually lead him farther out with my left hand pass. Now I know that's the opposite of how we shoot, right? If you're facing the rim and you're on the right side of the court, best to shoot with your left hand because you're more centered. If you're on the left side of the court, best to shoot with your right hand, more centered. That's a whole nother conversation. But the recognition is if I see both of my teammates cutting, I don't want them bumping into each other. Player from my right makes the cut. I flash him the pass with my right hand. He sees it coming. My other teammate coming from the left sees it coming, knows that he can now what? Stand ready for the rebound, stand ready to set a screen to keep somebody off his teammate as they hopefully get to 2. Now, the other thing that I want to help recognize is if I'm coming up, same scenario. My teammate comes up, sets the screen, and let's just say it's balanced. Maybe his man didn't come with him. Maybe his man is playing good screen off-ball principle, which means this. He recognizes that as his man goes to screen my defender, he doesn't need to be in the zone of action because why? 1 man can now defend 2. Now I have to take advantage of that. If he doesn't come and I get a balanced side, 2 men on the left, 2 men on the right, then my choice right here is I flash as I'm going to the wing, going to the perimeter, and then I strong cut to the basket. Why am I doing that? I want to draw the defense into me. If they come, great. Guess what I now have? I have my options on both sides of the floor where I have a teammate that's open, or if they don't come, I now just go straight to the rim and I choose violence to get it done. Those are some of the ways as you learn to know where to move with the ball. Again, my thing is always this. Do not have your mind made up when you get the ball, what move you're going to make. Like in chess, see what you're given before you make that decision. Because if you're able to do that, you will always make the right choice. Not only make them react to you, but make them sell out to you. So then now you can take offense on the next play. Hopefully that helps you out a little bit. You want a little bit more on that, you let me know. Definitely going to give you guys some more stuff as we move forward. Love watching all these recruits. Love watching the fun coming down to the race to one. Somebody needs to get an attitude and win a game for me. I'm about to go burn a couch. That's all I'm going to say. And the other thing that I always tell everybody, outside of thank you for checking out this week's version of the Talk Dirty to Me podcast, please give Darth Vader his inhaler back. Give him a mint, or at least get him some mouthwash.
I mean, I didn't realize we were starting right now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again for checking out the Talk Dirty to Me podcast with the Maestro. Drop a tag below and give us a piece of your mind.
So, see you next time and talk dirty to me.